Hi guys, I'm the one in 1.3, welcome to the family. Okay, so in this video I'm going to be talking to you about what the A.C.E curriculum is and also talking about the cost of the curriculum so that you have a better understanding, a better idea of whether or not you want to use this curriculum or not. So I'm just taking a walk with my dog and my daughter. So the A.C.E curriculum. A.C.E stands for Accelerated Christian Education, and as you can tell from the title, wait for the train to go by. As you can tell from the title, it's a Christian curriculum. Very, very Christian, the curriculum is the way I like it. So for example, in the science curriculum we deal with creation more than evolution, so it's heavily based on creation. So you have to understand that in case it's not really what you like. Okay, so the A.C.E curriculum is a pick and choose curriculum. What I mean by that is that you can go to the shop and just buy materials that you want to use with your children, but they do recommend that you follow the structure that they give you. So within the curriculum there are 7 core subjects, which is English grammar, you've got creative writing, there's maths, there is science, social studies, Bible studies and creative writing. That's the 7 that I know of. That core curriculum starts once your children have gone through the ABCs and also the kindergarten reading program. There's also some extra curriculums that you can use so that your child stays on the right level rather than working through materials that they're not quite mature and ready for. Alright, so I was a little bit distracted there, so I'm going to check to see if there's anything that I might have missed out. Okay, so I was a bit distracted there when I was walking my dog, but what I meant to say was there's a preschool curriculum called Kindergarten with A.C.E Christie, and that's basically deals with like hand and eye coordination, sequencing, patterns and things like that. And then the child will move on to ABCs with A.C.E Christie, and that lays a strong foundation to reading. And then there's some vocabulary that we need to break down, because you might hear me talk about things like paces and school keys, but I think it makes sense for me to try to break down the meaning of those words. Okay, so as you continue watching the video, you might hear me mention some words that you're not really too sure what they are. So I'm going to break down some of the vocabulary words now for you, so that as you watch the video, you will be able to follow along better. Okay, so a PACE simply stands for a Packet of Accelerated Christian Education, which is a self-instructional booklet used as the basis of the method. So it's basically like a workbook. And then you have the school key, which again is like an answer booklet. And this is where the children are able to find out the answers for all of their work, and they can score their work. To score their work is basically to mark their work. You might hear me mention the word TEACH. TEACH is the European Academy for Christian Homeschooling. And they're based in the UK, and they're the ones who deal with memberships and the shop. And, you know, if you need to call up for any advice, they're there to answer your questions and your queries and things like that. Core curriculum is basically the main curriculum that's covered within the PACEs. I've mentioned that already within the video. If you hear me talk about diagnostic, that's basically where you it's like a test that's given to each child to check the performance level of the child. Individualized learning, that's where a child learns and progresses at their own rate. So okay, we're back to the video. Okay, so as explained, it is a mastery curriculum and an individualised curriculum, therefore your child is working at their own pace. Now this is one thing that I really like about the curriculum, because it really does show those gaps that your child might have, and it helps you to really prepare a curriculum based on their level rather than their age. So children that use this curriculum can have special needs, special educational needs, and still use the curriculum. Your child could have could be speaking English as an additional language. Your child could speak English as an additional language and could still use the program, but I love that it starts from where the child is working at. I absolutely love that. For example, I had a little girl in my class that she's in year 2, one of my students, she's in year 2 at the moment, and in September she'll be going into year 3. And when I assessed her based on the national curriculum, I was horrified because the teachers had not told her mum anything about the fact that she was working significantly below her peers, because when she goes into year 3 she's going to be having to do the same work as her peers. So I assessed her using the A.C.E curriculum to see where she was, and she's actually working at level 1. I'll show you her links over here of her grades. She's actually working at level 1, I believe, for English. She got to pace 1013. Maths, she's quite low in terms of the amount of, she can't add up to 5 as yet. And then you have things like creative writing, she won't be able to access that at all. But it means that there's promise for her, because she'll be able to work at her own pace. I spoke to mum and said to mum that she could maybe do some of this curriculum in her own time to fill in those gaps, to help with her learning, so that if we can increase those gaps, get her to do some of the things that she needs to do in school, it can help her dramatically while she's at school. So that's one thing I love about the curriculum. There's a mastery aspect to it as well. So the child has got to score at least 80% per pace, otherwise they've got to repeat the pace and understand the content, otherwise, and then they can't move on. That's really good because it shows that they've got to learn the content, and that's not required in schools at the moment with the national curriculum. You just have to learn. You might have gaps, you move along with the rest of the children. But one thing that's strong about the A.C.E curriculum is this point over here, and so it teaches the child how to read. It's a reading curriculum, so your child has to have a strong foundation in reading from the very early level in order to be able to access some of the other subjects later on. So that's the foundation of the program. So that's a good thing because reading is very important in our society. You need to read. Even in maths, there's lots of reading involved in that as well. So the curriculum costs about £700 a year. £700 a year is about £450 with a discount, but you have to be a member in order to get the discount per child. So obviously if you have more than one child, you know, you can see how much the price can increase. But the way paces cost roughly £4.95. Some of the paces cost like £5.39, some of them cost £4.39, but roughly, if you picture to the middle, it's about £4.95 per pace. There's 12 subjects, 12 paces per subject, and then you've got times that again by 7. And then again, you have to times up by the amount of children that you have. So the way you've got to look at it is home education is independent education, basically. In the same way, even though it's not school per se, you're working from home, it's still individualised. You're choosing what it is that you want your children to learn. And in an independent school, you'd have to be paying for lots of different things as well. And at the same time, even if your child went to a state school, like a maintained school, there's still be many things for them to pay for. You've got to buy their book bags, their school uniform, their PE kits, their school shoes, their socks. Dinner, my goodness, when my children were at school, I paid £2 per day per child. So I was paying around £30 a week for the children's dinner alone. So that would be like £120 a month just for the food alone. So there's always a cost involved, but you do have to pray and be... When I first started, I had to pray a lot because I was so shocked. I felt like I can handle the price of the paces at the £49 mark per subject, but then you have to pay for the paces too. And I was like, oh my goodness, how am I actually going to afford this? But we did, we managed to. I prayed about it. I found ways of doing it. I found ways of buying the material for cheaper. There's like Facebook groups you can go on where people are selling their school keys and maybe some reading materials that the children are not using anymore. So there's ways around it to keep the costs low. But yeah, I'm going to stop there. If you want to. Catch. Ah, path. The wind shifted.